It is my pleasure to welcome you to Newark Castle for this Heritage Open Day. Last year, we welcomed hundreds of visitors to the castle to explore our towers and dungeons and get a first-hand experience of Newark's history. In these not-so-simple times, we still want to open our doors and share our story with as many of you as possible. So join us, from the comfort of home, as we share some of our most spectacular secrets with you. Alexander the Magnificent, Bishop of Lincoln, was well known for his extravagance and ambitious architectural projects. He received particular praise for the grandeur of his wooden palace at Newark. Though a lot has changed since the 11th century, both in the fabric of the building and its function, Newark Castle still stands as magnificent as its creator. This site along the River Trent has been occupied since at least the Viking period, and archaeology has revealed a possible Saxon church and graveyard in the grounds. Known as the Gateway to the North, this castle has been strategically important throughout UK history, located as it is on the cross of the Great North Road and Fosse Way, which connected the country. It also commands the Trent, an important crossing which could be used as a boon or a pinch point for the economy of the area. On October 19th, 1216, a storm raged over Newark. King John rested at the castle during his last tour of the Midlands. Having just lost the crown jewels to flooding of the river, the king was not feeling well at all. Historians attribute his messy end to a surfeit of peaches. Conspiracy theorists suggest a more intentional and sinister plot against the unpopular king. In either case, King John passed here of dysentery amid the violent tempest. His son, Henry III, succeeded him on the throne, and almost immediately struggled with one of his father's mercenaries, Robert de Gaffey. When de Gaffey refused to surrender Newark Castle back to the crown, the 9-year-old besieged it, but could not take it. In the end, King Henry paid de Gaffey £100 in silver to abandon his position, as compensation for the supplies he would leave behind. Little is known of the exact form and function of the castle complex, but it would have stood as a center for civic activity, and sometimes that would have had a dark side. The castle today boasts 3 dungeons, though 2 of them were likely converted to the purpose from food stores. Here, suspected criminals would have been thrown in, quite literally, to await trial. It is likely food and water would have been provided only by prisoners' families, for those with families, and families who could afford it. A common crime would have been defaulting on debts or not paying taxes. Here in the debtor's dungeon, there may have been as many as 30 prisoners packed in together. Cruel, but far from unusual. It is certainly not an experience any of us should like to have had. A few who may have experienced this castle accommodation were Templar knights, imprisoned here after their fall from grace. Evidence of Templar graffiti shows their presence here, but as it does not appear in this pit or other cells, it is likely they were afforded slightly more freedom than most. Time passed, and a litany of nobles resided in the castle. Some left it to disrepair, some were charged with building it up. Through wars, disputes, and turmoil, Newark Castle stood stalwart and strong. In 1646, England had been racked by war, and the town of Newark was suffering under the plague while parliamentarian forces besieged the castle. Supplies were cut off as Cromwell's men controlled the Trent. The people were dying, and the royalists were losing the Civil War. Once again, the castle was resisting a siege when, in May, King Charles I ordered the governor to surrender. Though it is widely rumored that Cromwell slighted the castle, this is not strictly true. Parliamentarians set off one explosion in the gatehouse, which left its mark, but clearly did not destroy it. The people of Newark, rather, are who dismantled the stone walls and used the material to reconstruct after the injuries of the previous several years. It is lovely to think that Newark Castle has served the people since that day. Cottage housing once existed along the curtain wall, and the grounds hosted a bowling green and a cattle market. In 1887, the site was landscaped and repaired, and reopened as a pleasure garden for Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee. A covenant was made at this time for the grounds to be, quote, for the free use of the people forever, end quote. A covenant that still exists today. Newark Castle's grounds are open now, and we look forward to welcoming visitors back into its secret and secluded spaces as soon as it is reasonable and safe. In the meantime, we hope you have enjoyed this brief glimpse at the long history of Newark Castle, and rest assured, there is more to see and learn. We hope to see you soon.